Yes, I am live. I am here. How we all doing? Big up to everyone. Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another Euro 2024 match view. My goodness me, there's a lot going on at the moment. That's why I'm a little bit late. There are 10 million. I mean, they say, I mean, it's a bit of a stereotype that men can't multitask. My goodness me, I'm multitasking at the moment. So I will give you exactly what I'm doing at the moment. So there's news just dropping from Fabrizio Romano. There's news dropping about Mason Greenwood. I'm also uploading a video that you're going to be seeing later on, by the way, on the channel on United View. A really interesting thing that Flex is doing with the Muppeteers. So if at any point this gets like a little laggy for the next 15 minutes, then you know why. That would be the case. So if it is like a little bit choppy at points, don't worry, it will be fixed. It's just literally 10 million things going on all at once. So just some news actually, and we are here to watch Germany versus Hungary, by the way, too. But some breaking news coming in the last couple of minutes from Fabrizio Romano about Jean-Clair Todibo and how this deal looks like it's not going to happen. But essentially, he has tweeted, Romano, saying, exclusive, Jean-Clair Todibo deal for Manchester United is currently off and highly unlikely due to UEFA rules. Talks were advanced with all parties keen for months, but Nice and Manchester United with the same ownership playing same European competition for next season means no green light. Which, to be honest with you, to me, makes absolutely zero sense. I don't see... I can understand that as a rationale if that's a blanket rule across the board. But, I mean, literally, Manchester City have purchased someone from Girona. They both play in the Champions League next season. So, basically, what? How is that even possible? So, that's at least what Romano is tweeting, that, you know, all the parties were keen on this and talks were advanced, but now it's not possible. Naturally, again, the natural response has been that Manchester City have been able to purchase Savio from Girona. Obviously, they're both owned by Citigroup. They both play in the Champions League next season. So, what we doing here? What we trying to say here? So that, for me, my initial reaction to that is not the end of that story. Basically, this is not the end of that story just yet. Keep an eye on it, I think. But I mean, maybe it's just a case of sort of legal loopholes. I mean, I can't say I'm a complete expert on that transfer. But that is a blow, and I mean, who knows what's going on when it comes to the sort of the ownership of Nice at the moment too. There was a report, when was it, a week or so ago, saying that Nice were looking to, that Ineos were looking to sell Nice and looking to end their ownership of it. Then there was pushback on that, saying no, that's not the case. We're not looking to do that. So I don't know, but that in itself is a developing news story. So watch that one closely. Of course, we'll have much more on that. Most likely, I would think tomorrow morning at this point. As I mentioned, we've got this match view right now. We've got the chat with Flex and James from the Muppeteers, which is going to be coming up at 7 o'clock. Really worth a watch that, so be sure to check that out. Again, that's happening at the moment. And then I'm going to be doing Scotland versus Switzerland later on today too. So there is literally, I mean, so much going on in the space of just the last few minutes alone. So we'll probably touch on that, I would think, tomorrow morning. And I think that's probably the smart thing to do anyway, just purely because there's going to be natural questions about that. There's going to be natural questions about, okay, well, how is that possible? What's going on with that? You know, what's the differences? What's the similarity? So keep an eye out for it. Also, another bit of interesting news regarding Mason Greenwood. It's being reported by Sami Mokbul from the Daily Mail that Lazio have opened talks with Manchester United over a £30 million swoop for Mason Greenwood. Other clubs in Serie A, including Juventus and Napoli, are also expected to make their move. Now, if the opening bid there is 30 million and there's 3 clubs involved, naturally one would think that possibly Manchester United could be getting closer to that £40 million valuation that they've set for him. And of course, it would be it would be pure profit. So yeah, this is. But the Jean-Clair Todibo one is really, really curious. Really curious. And again, basically this is how Manchester City, how dangerous they are in terms of how they're able to get around things. So from just looking at it a little bit, so the Savio purchase, if I understand this correctly, they've purchased him actually from Troyes. He was on loan from Troyes, who are also owned by City Group, but Troyes aren't in the Champions League. Is that how they've got round it? I think. Because the suggestion is that it's a purchase of a player between two owned clubs in the same European competition. So I think that's how they've got round that one. So they haven't actually purchased him from Girona. They've purchased him from Troyes. Troyes aren't in the Champions League next season. That's how they've worked their way around it. But let's be honest, that's a legal loophole. Everyone can look at it. That's a proper legal loophole. And that's incredibly frustrating. Massively frustrating. And the question now becomes, how do Manchester United try and circumvent that? Do they have a conversation with Nice and Todibo? Do they have a conversation with him and say, hold steady? Basically, hold steady until something happens in the Europa League, perhaps. Maybe they wait. I don't know. I don't know. But that is a developing story, which, as I mentioned, we'll continue to follow it whilst we're live. We'll continue to follow it definitely when it comes to the transfer view tomorrow morning. There's so much going on. There's so much content coming up here on United View. As I mentioned, we've got obviously this match right now, which is going to start in just a few seconds. We're going to get obviously this interview with the Muppeteers. We're going to get obviously another one later on too. Yes, it's all going off. Maybe perhaps, as Fish says, sell Todibo to Luzerne and then purchase Man United. Well, that would essentially, for all intents and purposes, what Manchester City have done there. If you loan Todibo or you sold Todibo to Luzerne in Switzerland and then Manchester United purchased him from Luzerne, they say, well, that's fine. That's fine. You can do that, but you can't purchase him from a club that's in the same competition. Again, it's just loopholes, really, isn't it? That's all it is. But yes, so we get any more stuff on that, we'll talk about that. This match, Germany versus Hungary. If Germany win, they're through. Hungary and Scotland can't go out tonight, but of course, if they lose and lose by a heavy amount, they would have a very, very, very, very, very slim chance of being able to be the third best place, or one of the best placed third teams in the tournament. But one of the names on that centre-back shortlist, Todibo, suddenly has evaporated. So what does that put that down to? That puts that down to Jared Branthwaite. Possibly that's why Manchester United are so keen on Jared Branthwaite. Also, Lenny Euro, but the expectation is he's going to go to Real Madrid. So, yeah, very interesting times at the moment. Yes. It just feels very sort of dirty, doesn't it? Not the Man United part of that, but I mean how City have been able to really get away with that on a technicality while he's not actually from that club. Even though, and almost to the point that City probably saw this issue coming, you know. Well, let's sell him to Girona. Well, what if they do well? Well, okay, then let's maybe loan him, because then we can... That's what it kind of feels like, doesn't it? If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe to bottom right-hand corner. You know what to do. As we wait for the kickoff in this game. I haven't even got into the teams yet. This has been a crazy last 20 minutes. We are waiting for the countdown for kickoff. And then whilst the game's going on, we'll keep chatting. We'll keep chatting about this Todibo stuff. Get your thoughts in, get your chats in. Let's talk, as well as obviously talking about the game. But do you know what it feels like to me? It feels like it's the same stuff as like Chelsea. You know, when Chelsea at the moment go, well, we're selling hotels and training grounds, and they celebrate that. See, we're smart. We got it. We're smart. We got that one right. And you go, yeah, but just feels wrong, really, doesn't it? And the game is off. As it's Germany versus Hungary. We've got a super chat here from Amma, and as you can see, super chats pop up with a funny face. I tell you what, Hungary, they might have a chance here. My word. It says, cancel his contract, compensate Nice through another purchase at a higher fee, and sign Todibo for free. Well, obviously, it does make you wonder, like, well, what if they did that? Then what happens? But then I suppose at this point they've got to show to UEFA that they're not linked. They've got to show to UEFA that, well, the people that run football at Manchester United, the people that run it, there's separation. There isn't this crossover. But there had been a report that the sort of the dispensation that was given to Manchester United and Nice regarding the Europa League this year was kind of like, we're going to give you a year to kind of sort out what you want to do with all of this ownership stuff. So, yes. But, yes, a minute into this, still 0-0. And if you are just joining us, the breaking news regarding Jean-Clair Todibo is that move is off this summer between Nice and Manchester United. Talks reportedly were advanced. All parties were keen. But because Manchester United and Nice play in the same competition next season, the Europa League, and have the same owners in Ineos, or an ownership stake, shall we say, they're saying that is not possible. Now, if you're wondering why Manchester City can do the same thing, it's because technically they're doing something different. They haven't signed Savio from Girona. They've signed him from Troyes. While Girona are in the Champions League with Manchester City next season, Troyes are not. Therefore, it's slightly different. And that's the case. That is just slightly. Technicality. That's it. And that, to be honest with you, that goes to show, for all of the talk that Manchester City say about, we know we've done nothing wrong, all that kind of stuff, I don't know how you want to perceive it. You could perceive it as, well, maybe technically they haven't done anything wrong, technically, because they're confident they know how to bend and manipulate the rules. Or two, does that to show how sort of deceiving they are? It's a bit like Chelsea, how they've sort of circumvented a lot of FFP and PSR rules over the last 2 years. And again, it is typical Man United, isn't it? It never ends. Dan says, yes, but Manchester City are linked with the Spanish counterpart. It all comes down to technicalities, and I thought our owners were only board members. Well, the problem is with Manchester United, with the ownership of Nice and Manchester United, of course, is the fact that Nice control football operations at Manchester United. So it's not as if they're a minority owner that doesn't have any influence over the club, sort of thing. But it's not stopped us from playing in the Europa League next season. But if some reports were true, Ineos were looking to kind of just remove their stake, or at least their control over Nice for next season, and just focus completely on Manchester United. Whether or not that'll be the case again, time will tell. But as Romano's, if I look at the language once more of what Romano said, I believe he said, didn't he say it's currently off? So who's to say that couldn't change? He said currently off and highly unlikely. Doesn't mean completely, does it? And this is, this is the problem now with football, is there are so many clubs. And I didn't, honestly, until I was reading up on it, when the sort of scaremongering story went around about, Man United aren't going to be allowed to play in the Europa League next season, which, again, if you just did 5 minutes of research into it, you knew was just really farcical and just a complete sort of scaremongering story. I didn't realise when looking into that, just again, how prevalent it is. Like Brighton with Union Saint-Gilloise, Aston Villa, forget the club's name, but in Portugal, there are loads of clubs that have minority stakes or control of football operations of a lot of other clubs over Europe. And essentially the way to sort of get around it is you sort of tweak your ownership or change, change certain things. So what I would say about this Todibo stuff is, who's to say that in a few weeks' time or a month's time, bear in mind the window shuts at the beginning of September, who's to say in a couple of months' time things haven't been tweaked or changed a little bit more, perhaps, maybe. That would be the only other thing I would sort of suggest. It's not over till it's over. And if they do have that influence, again, who's to say they don't have a chat with Jean-Clair and go, hey, there's a bit of a delay at the moment, we'll figure it out. Ball in by Szoboszlai for Hungary. Little flick, he's going to have another attempt to put it in. Flick, or I tell you what's going to fall to him in the box. Shoots! Deflection! Over the bar. Fish says Savio has never played a game for Troyes. And again, that's the point, isn't it? That, to me, screams premeditation, doesn't it? From Manchester City's perspective. This might be a problem in maybe a year or so. Well, let's put him to this club. Then we don't put ourselves into a corner kind of situation. Again, it's bending the rules as much as you possibly can without breaking them. Because that's when you see that story, the natural reaction is you do the whataboutism, you go, what about City? And then you find out, well, technically doesn't play for Girona, technically. And then the more rational reaction of when you take a step back is, yeah, but they're all owned by the same group. So let's bullshit the technicalities. Let's be really honest about the situation here. It's one giant club, essentially, isn't it? Here's Toni Kroos. Musiala tries the ball in there, blocked. So this and the rule regarding it, Romano says Savio is from Troyes, not Girona. Benjamin Šeško was years ago. This new rule is from July 2023. And the Muppeteers have kind of opened up on this, saying the below ruling says it is conditioned specifically for those clubs. We haven't seen a ruling for United/Nice, but it sounds like in private we've been given the same conditions as part of approval to participate in the Europa together. So possibly it might be a situation, as I mentioned, you saw those reports coming out a few weeks ago about, Ineos basically saying, look, we're talking with UEFA, we're confident we're going to be in the Europa League next season, it's not going to be a problem, blah, blah, blah. It might have been a case in those talks with UEFA, part of the conditions to participate was, well, okay, cool, you're going to be in the Europa League next season, we're allowing Nice in the Europa League next season, but you can't buy players off each other. Like, these are the conditions to prove that these are two separate entities, essentially. That might be the case. Which I think is maybe a more clearer way to look at it. Because what we don't know is how did Manchester United or how did Ineos prove separation between Nice and Manchester United in the first place? But naturally, again, it just makes people, I think, look more at City Football Group going, man, these guys, if they're not breaking them, they're bending the rules unbelievably. But nearly 10 minutes gone, 0-0. Steffi Jenks says, then why spent time on Todibo until now? Well, again, this might be a case of the news kind of catching up to the journalists. This might be something one would think that Manchester United have been aware of since they got the green light that they were going to be in the Europa League next season from UEFA. So this might not be new news to them, but it's new news in terms of the journalists. Maybe Romano's chatting with Todibo's agent, saying, so you're going to Man United, what's happening there? And then he gets the word, oh yeah, that one's not possible because UEFA said they can't do that. Oh, when was that done? Oh, a couple of weeks ago. Sort of thing. Because let's face it, unless I'm mistaken, we haven't seen. I mean, maybe you might have seen them. I certainly can't recall. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, how many big name journalists have said that deal was absolutely on or happening? That was kind of speculation from last season that's kind of carried on over, and naturally people assumed, isn't it? And again, if you look at the language he says, Romano, talk to advance of all parties keen for months. Havertz headed away. Dan says, so you have to prove separation to playing in the same competition, but everybody on the planet knows Manchester City and the Spanish team are in the same umbrella. They are not separate. But I would assume the same ruling would have been given to them, which is basically that, but you can't purchase players off them. And again, their way around that is, well, we haven't purchased them from Girona. But it's upon whether UEFA are like, wow, that's not really good faith of what the rules should be, you know. I don't know. Football clubs, you know, rules being manipulated or deflected just wide. Being manipulated and changed and benefiting certain parties over others. What's new? It's another corner for Germany. It's going to be Tony Kroos standing over it. Ball in. Well, kind of made a bit of a hash of that, but no one to put any pressure on from Hungary. But yeah, like I said, for me, I look at the way that City have operated with all of that, and that says to me that they are firmly aware of the rules and firmly aware how to circumnavigate them, bend them, but not break them, or if they do break them, ensure that they've got appropriate means to try and get away with it or bog down everything. Which is incredibly frustrating, isn't it? Because the subject of ownership in general across football, Pandora's box was opened a long time ago, and now it's completely spiraling out of control, isn't it? Whether it is multi-club ownership, whether it is, state-owned football clubs, because that gets into the territory of international politics then when you're talking about sanctions and repercussions. And we're just talking about a sport. We're talking about football. And it becomes something even bigger. It's just crazy. Is Rudiger. Gives it back to Tar. I think Tar's expected to go to Bayern Munich, isn't he? Which is why Matthias de Ligt, maybe now he becomes much more of a target. I'm not sure about this Germany kit, by the way. What is it? Pink and dark blue? Pink and navy, I think. Here's Mittelstadt. Good pass. Szoboszlai. Cuts it back. I tell you what, if someone was running onto it, edge of the box, shoots, blocked. Well, certainly Hungary have done more and had more chances in the last couple of minutes than Scotland probably had the entire game. Germany looked to be in a bit more of a game, and it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I did mention after the last game, after Germany's first one, they were really impressive and probably the most impressive team in the first round, and players like Musiala really impressed me too. But the question, and it was a good question, many people pointed out, was it a case of Germany being so good? Or was it a case of Germany were good, but Scotland were really, really bad and made Germany look even better? We shall see. I mean, we'll do the team news in just a second. Once again, a reminder, really just after this stream, 7 o'clock, there is going to be Flex's chat with James from the Muppeteers. That's going to be coming out, talking about all sorts of things, transfers, the manager, Ineos, you name it. That's going to be coming out at 7. You should actually be redirected after this to that. So, yeah, that's coming out, and then I'm going to be live after that to watch Scotland again for my sins, which is going to be a lot of fun. Once again, it's good to see if it was a case of whether they were really good or they were really bad. We shall see. But that's also another thing. That's if I go quiet, it's because I'm doing things too. Here's Florian Wirtz, Musiala, who was brilliant in the first game. Cross, and it's blocked, put behind. Germany have a corner kick. Fiola with the block there. Going to be a corner for Hungary. Puts the ball in. Headed away by Hungary. Counter-attacks on. Not really much support there. I can come back to that. Oh, I tell you what. Like I said earlier at the beginning of the stream, they say that men can't multitask. Well, to be fair, I can't really that well. I can't speak and do same things at the same time. But we're okay. we've managed it. We've managed it. I'd say what was a good game earlier on too, wasn't it? The Croatia versus Albania was a good game. Is Rudiger. The Manchukutioner says, people's elbow the like button, folks. Well, I'd refrain, Manchukutioner. With your history, with your wrestling moves, with the ladder incident, do we need to go in there? We don't need to go into it. We don't need to. It's there on KG's channel to check out. Oh, and for those people that will be wondering, if you were watching KG's stream earlier on today, I'm aware, and 1-2, nearly towards Gundogan. Yeah, for those that were watching KG's stream earlier on today, all I can say is he's done it before, and he knows what the reaction's going to be. He doesn't know when, he doesn't know where, but I think maybe he's a glutton for punishment because he knows what's going to happen. And all I will say is, there is a reason why when I called him back, he didn't pick up the phone. Because he knows. He knows what's coming. And certain allegations he was saying towards me, all I'll say is I've done my research and it was very interesting. My findings. We shall see. We shall see. Super chat here from Red Baron says, Premier League, let this happen with City. It's bittersweet. Yeah, the old multi-club model is crazy, isn't it? Who's this at the back here? It's Tony Cruz. Rudiger. Tar. Kibish. Obviously, Germany going to have a lot of possession. Lil Yo-Yo says KG is in trouble. Well, he's not in trouble because I don't know why he does this. And actually, you know what? I tell you what, the revenge flick into the box. Hungary going to deal with it. The revenge, as I said, it will come. Inevitably, it will come. It's already locked and loaded. But what I thought was truly shameful was, one, his ability to debate, which was ask the question, and then as soon as you answer, start screaming at the top of his voice. And then he got loads of people on the stream to go, I won that, didn't I? I won that. And I thought, what kind of high school bullshit, KG? Mr. the Comedian, a grown man, that he had to get positive affirmation from the reckless delegates. Hey. But I said it would come. The Manchecutioner says, what has KG done? Watch his stream. I didn't realise, though, that he had done the same to Flex, I think, before, earlier on. I didn't realise that. And actually, that's the other part of it, too. He's like, I won that one. He calls someone up cold. I was here, I was editing a video for my channel. I was actually making a thumbnail at the time. And I thought, and it rang for a bit, and I thought, oh, do I have time? I thought, I'll take the call. It might be something important. And you just started screaming at me. Gundogan blocked in the end. But keeper just didn't come for it. What's going on? It's going to tap it in. What a mess. It's Musiala. What a mess you've made of that, Hungary. You just stopped. The spirit of Fabian Barthez. What are you doing? They deal with it, and the goalkeeper and the defender, they just stop. They just don't do anything. Wow, what a mess. I think the Hungary player's been booked for dissent too. But let's have a look at this. So here's Florian Wirtz. Puts it over to Musiala. He puts a little ball into... And the defender and the goalkeeper just stop. I mean, Gundogan sort of goes into the back of the defender. The defender goes down. He goes down there. And what's the goalkeeper doing? Again, the spirit of Fabian Barthez with his hand in the air claiming for offside. It's essentially the same thing. It might be a foul, to be fair. Will they rule it out, though? I think they might rule this out. Because he does go like that. I think this might get overturned. And if... What's happened? He thinks it's a goal. Where he's it's an absolute mess. 1-0 Germany. And again, what a total mess they made of that. I mean, the reality is it could have been a foul on the defender, but the goalkeeper just stood there. Now, is that going to be a foul? It is going to be a foul to Hungary. Free kick, about 25 yards out, 20 yards out. Yada says, what a KGG. Yeah, check his stream. Free Gold says, we need to see a bit of more pride from Scotland this evening. And look at Liam's very upset. My goodness me. Lil Yo-Yo in the chat. Nobody else. His chat is getting read out. I was telling, it was enhancing the story that I was telling earlier on. It's all right. You're all equal in my eyes. Okay? You're all my children. So it's okay. It's fine. It's no problem. Although if I do have to read out everyone's chat, we are going to miss a lot of coverage. We're setting a dangerous precedent there. Liam said, I didn't shout, to be fair. Well, you didn't speak. It's typed. But, let's not be pedantic about this one. Be sure to click the like button. Be sure to subscribe to bottom right-hand corner. As I mentioned, a reminder, there is going to be Flex's chat with James from the Muppeteers coming out after this stream, which I'm actually just setting up now. Make sure I got the right date. I'll get in trouble. It is going to be a free kick, though. Is that Szoboszlai standing over it? I think so. Szoboszlai. Oh, tell you what, it was a brilliant save by Manuel Neuer. Oh, how's that not gone in? Oh, it's a sensational save. Manuel Neuer, spirit of share. If I could turn back time. Oh, he rolled back the years there. Wow. Brilliant save. That's set up. And now the play stopped again. Not sure what time this for this time. And looks like, is that Rudiger? Rudiger is now been booked. It's all going off. He looks pretty bemused by everything that's going on. Can't say I blame him. It was a really good free kick by Szoboszlai. Look at a little bit of a deflection. And Neuer does well. Well, he's stretching, isn't he? He ends up going sort of back into the net. Gundogan. Oh. Match got a nice flow to it, nice pace. Liam says, Owen, you got a it Aggie, and that's fine. Is that a bit Aggie, and that's fine? Hey, there's no need to project, Liam. Okay, it's all right. You got your comment read out, no problem. You know, we make dreams come true here. It was worth it. It was definitely worth it. Manch Kushner says, who's been the stinkiest team of the tournament thus far? I mean, obviously, I could go England, but I don't think that'd be completely legitimate. Everyone's done all right, I think. Apart from Belgium, all of the big teams won. If you want to talk about sort of letdowns, to be fair, I thought Portugal were a bit of a letdown last night. I won't even say England much of a letdown because that was kind of expected. Maybe Belgium. Again, I thought I was going to get more from Portugal, and I didn't really see that. And actually, the sort of discourse surrounding Roberto Martinez last night was very interesting because it sort of brought up a lot of Martinez circa Everton discussions, wasn't it? There was a clip of Paul Merson on Soccer Saturday going that you watch an Everton match and you're like, this was rubbish. And you hear him talk for 2 minutes after the game and it's like someone pressed the button, you go, yeah, they played really well. Oh, Szoboszlai! Oh, blocked, out for a corner. I tell you what, he's up for it today. It's Jonathan Tah manages to block that one. But it was kind of right about Roberto Martinez, and I had kind of forgot that he when he talks really well, Martinez. But then actually when you watch the game, you go, oh, I don't know, I don't know about that. So Szoboszlai with the corner, or hit blocked. Musiala, I think I went out for a throw-in. Out of play. Nearly half an hour gone. And it's Germany 1, Hungary 0. A bit of a messy goal, but they all count. From Jamal Musiala. Chris says, very good counter-attacking play from Hungary. Loyanda says, Portugal to win it all. Well, that is also the important point. As much as maybe some of the bigger teams left a lot to be desired, i.e. Portugal, it's just about winning, isn't it? It's just about winning, putting points on the board, and then making sure you get to the latter stages and win it when it counts. That's it. And with, the players that Portugal got, they're always going to be considered favourites, aren't they? And you can have some people that have won tournaments even more recently are the teams that haven't started particularly quickly or particularly well. Oof. That was a heavy tackle, but looks like Germany are going to counter-attack. Acklord says Croatia. I feel like Croatia's the was it stinkiest team? Well, like I said, the Albania game. Once again, Albania involved in a good game. You know what? That's probably been that's probably been one of the bigger takeaways of this tournament thus far in its early stages, isn't it? Is that those teams that you're like, oh, they're probably going to lose all their matches. They're probably going to be play badly. All those sort of smaller teams, they've all done okay. Even if they've lost, they've all put in quite respectful performances. And you go, actually, they've done quite well. Whether it's Albania, whether it's Slovakia, Slovenia, even like Poland. Those teams, they've all actually got Georgia. They've all actually gone, you know what, they're okay. They've put in some good matches. Like at the moment, it doesn't feel like there's one team which you look at them and you go, what is the point of them being here? They're offering nothing. Maybe Scotland. We'll see what happens with that one this evening. But that Scotland could be that team. Lilio says Ukraine. Oh yeah, that was yeah. But again, that could be completely different in the second game. Again, that's what's weird with international tournaments, isn't it? Is that those teams can get absolutely pumped and then they end up in the knockout stages. You can go, how did that happen? But 'tis the way that international football works. Riri says, I was thinking that actually when I was saying that. I can do the...
Done okay.
You go Georgia.
Done okay.
Romania.
Done okay.
Who else? Poland.
Done okay.
Albania.
Done okay.
Belgium.
Honestly, I feel sick. That's how I feel. I feel sick.
Yeah. No, that's fair. England.
Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah. You're not wrong, Kenny. Yeah. What about Trent in midfield?
Absolutely woeful. Absolutely woeful.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, do I need to bring up Gareth?
Poor, and I mean poor.
Yeah. Understandable. We'll leave them there just in case. Verts. That one's blocked. I tell you what, Hungary are in this though. They look dangerous on the counter-attack. Had some good chances. Of course, that save from Manuel Neuer from the free kick. They were quite disappointing, particularly in the first half of their first game. I tell you what, their manager for Hungary, Marco Rossi, looks shockingly like Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad. Like, really looks like him. I don't know if people see that similarity. Maybe it's just me. But then people say Kenny looks like Mike Ehrmantraut.
Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
That's just what they say, Kenny. It's not, I'm just repeating that information. That's all they say. Big kick from the Hungary goalkeeper. Flick on. It goes all the way back to Rudiger. He passes it back to Manuel Neuer. Jadine says, who is Kenny supporting? Well, I would assume England. I would assume England. I would like to know. To be fair, I don't know Kenny's thoughts on Gareth Southgate. I know he wasn't keen, obviously, on him being linked to the Manchester United manager's job. But I don't know what his thoughts are about what he's done with England. Tar is Rudiger. 35 minutes gone. Still 1-0. Goal from Musiala. Mittelstadt puts the ball in. Oof. Not going to go out for a corner. Indeed. Corner ball. Yeah, it was Kirkes who headed it out. Of course, we've been linked to Kirkes from Bournemouth. So it's a bit of Kirkes watch. Tell you what, do you know what is crazy? Rudiger. He is. Talk about a character. But I think you need them in your group. Corner ball. There's some pushing and shoving going on in the box. Corner, ball in. Headed away. Oh, falls to the edge of the box. Oh. It was nearly went to Mittelstadt. Oh, tell you what, nearly scuffed that one. Neuer. Oh, look at that pass by Toni Kroos. Unbelievable. Wirtz. Out to Kimmich. Oh, it's a good pass, that. Mittelstadt. That's a corner. Yeah, Germany got their sort of flow going. Which, again, is interesting because I think Hungary will be a bit disappointed because they'll say, well, apart from that goal, you know, we have
Done okay.
Just the goal was just really sloppy. A bit like yesterday with the Czech Republic against Portugal. When they reflect on those goals, they'll go, well, first one, the goalkeeper pushes it into the defender. And the second one, defender slips and the goalkeeper slips too. And it just turns into a bit of a mess. Corner ball in. Kimmich. Across goal. Oof. Goes towards Tar. Good feet, actually. From a centre-back. Toni Kroos. Musiala. Oh, look at his feet. Oh. He's given a free kick in the end. But the way that Musiala can pick up the ball and it just sticks to his feet. Sticks to his feet. Look at that. And he just weaves. He just weaves in and out of players. It's really... He's a top player, isn't he? 21. Oof. I don't think that's a foul by Musiala. That was Orban's one that actually stepped on Musiala and he goes down. That's a pretty strong feat. What happened? I stood on your foot and it really hurt. Bit weird. As Hungary trying to play out defence a little bit here. A little chip over the top. Lays it off. Misplaced. Andrich. Mittelstadt. But I do think, maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong quite a lot with these predictions in this tournament. I do feel like there might be a goal in this for Hungary. Maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. I mean, now, let's have a look at the possession stats here. They've got to be very much in the favour. 68% possession for Germany, 32% for Hungary, Mittelstadt. But they've just, as I mentioned, they've just sort of come into the game a bit more. Because you do look at Hungary, they've had 7 shots, 3 on target. So they've actually had more shots than Germany, same amount on target. And it's really, in the last sort of 10-15 minutes of Germany, really started to sort of crank the pressure up in terms of having more possession, starting to dominate the game. But earlier on, it did feel like it was kind of there for them. Going to be another corner. Going to be Toni Kroos to take it. In swinger. Ooh. Nearly an own goal. just drops wide. It was the striker, Varga. Just gets his head to it. I don't think he has a clue where it's going. Yeah, just gets that completely wrong. And I don't know why. I mean, it just heads it towards his own goal. But it's another corner. 5 minutes left. Tony Kroos going to step over this corner once more. Another corner whipped in. Headed away this time. Musiala. There's a little nibble. Little nibble on him. Goes down. Wirtz has the shot. It's got to go over the bar for a goal kick. Musiala have a bit of a glare towards the referee there. Saying, hey, what was that? It was a foul. He definitely left something on him. Oh, they've given the ball away, Hungary. They've just not protected the ball at all in the last 15 minutes. Germany just suddenly taking complete control of the game. And now I think for Hungary it would just be a case of get to half time. Reset. Actually, what I should probably do, I should probably check the groups. Euro 2024 groups. Let's have a look. So as things stand, of course, Germany would be through 6 points into the knockout stage. There's the game to come this evening, Switzerland and Scotland. If Switzerland win, likewise, they would be through. And then it would be a case of Hungary and Scotland just trying to fight to see if they can be a best third place team. But, yeah, they would want to be trying to avoid heavy defeats. But if they get a point, maybe. I mean, that last game, Hungary versus Scotland, it's going to be a big one, isn't it? A very big one. Daniel Luciano says, anyone else think that was a foul before the goal? I thought, for a second, oh, they might overturn that. I think it's more the reaction to it. I think the goalkeeper, it doesn't really matter. Just pick up the ball, man. Go get the ball. Don't wait. And just, I'm assuming it's going to be a foul. I mean, let me know in the chat. Put a 1 if you think it was a foul. Put a 2 if you thought it wasn't a foul. Correct decision. And let me know your thoughts on it. But I prefer, I don't know about you, I just prefer less interference I prefer less interference with it. I'm at the point now with VAR and what have you that I'm just a bit like, get involved for things like offsides or goal line technology. The rest, just leave it to the on-field decision. Although, saying that, they would have missed that penalty in the first game for Germany. Oh, I thought I was in. It looked like it was in. Musiala, edge of the box. It's kind of under his feet and he just stabs at it. And it looked like it was in the back of the net, but it's not. It's side netting. It's the Raheem Sterling. It's the Raheem Sterling special. Remember when Sterling did that against, was it Italy in the World Cup in 2014? Where Sterling had a shot against Italy and everyone was like, it's in! It's in! I can't believe he scored! And then it wasn't. It was side netting. Even the scoreboard change was like, goal! Boom! And they were like, no, it's not. It's side netting. To this day, I'm like, I think that went in. Daniel Luciano says he thinks it was a foul. Jason thinks it was a foul. Prod by Palmeiras said, would the contact be enough for a penalty if it was the other way round? I don't think so. Therefore, it's not a foul the other way round. Daniel says, agreed, but I thought it was a push in the back. Chris said, if England scored that goal and it was given a foul, I'd be pissed. That is always, I think, the way to consider it. And I know sometimes us as fans, we don't like to think of it that way. But I think the best way to think about those decisions is, well, if it was my team that was affected by that, how would I feel? And I agree with Chris. I'd be like, well, there's not that much in it. I don't think that's a foul. I think the referee's just booked someone on one of the benches. 2 minutes of stoppage time. I think he booked someone on the Hungary bench. Maybe the manager. Speaking of which, here comes Hungary. Down the left-hand side. They haven't really been in the German half for quite some time. Again, they were doing okay. Then they just completely kind of dropped off. Well, that's a free kick to Hungary. Any late drama, perhaps? Have a look. Not a lot in that either, is there? Look at Nagelsmann. He's bemused. Now, Szoboszlai is going to stand over this. His delivery from set pieces today has been good. So are we going to get a little bit of a twist? Ball in. Flick on. Oh, it's in. Is that going to count? Is that going to be offside? The flag's gone up. Well, technology will have a look. I mentioned Szoboszlai's his delivery has been excellent today. For the second time, Manuel Neuer makes a great save from a set piece. Who is it? And Kia's offside. But it's another one. Manuel Neuer. Well, now they've got to check this. He's offside. Martin Keown. Maybe he wasn't offside. He's offside. Very quick. Was it Martin Keown's just outwardly lying? Outwardly lying on commentary. That is so alarming, isn't it? It really is. There's a guy on co-coms who's just talking and he has no idea what's going on. Are you watching back home? It's coming in back home. Well, I don't know by the start of the season. Well, maybe. I think they're trying to get it in as soon as possible. Well, we'll see. We'll see. What do you mean we'll see? It's half time. It was like Danny Murphy yesterday, wasn't it? Oh, it's a foul. It's a dive. Oh, yeah, it is a dive. Why bring on late substitutes? What are they going to do? Sets up and scores a goal. Well, but it's half-time, 1-0. But it's not as if Hungary haven't had opportunities, is it? We had Manuel Neuer make a big save from a free kick from Szoboszlai. Right towards the end, he makes another save there. So it's a bit of a tasty game, this one. For as much as the dominance that the Germans have had, there is still possibilities. And in addition to that, if you look at the stats, Hungary have had a go. They really have. I think this will carry on. But they've had at least 7 shots, 3 on target. Again, that's just 1 shot less than the Germans with 8 shots, 3 on target too. But the possession, 72% possession for Germany, only 28 for Hungary. There was really that sort of like 15, 20-minute period, wasn't there, where Germany really started to sort of suffocate them, really get on the ball. But they do look dangerous. I think there is a goal in the game. I do think that. Let me know your thoughts on the first half in the chat. What are people saying here? Daniel Luciano says, I can't get over how fast they check it. The automated offside, I was asking for it at the beginning of last season. For me, my first real evidence of it was in the World Cup in Qatar in 2022. When I saw it then and how quick it was, and it was for the first game, wasn't it? Remember the first game of the World Cup, and it was Qatar versus, was it Colombia or Ecuador? I think it was Ecuador. And it was a completely dead game, rubbish game. And there was a chance where Ecuador scored quite early on in the game. And they were like, they went, it's offside. And everyone was like, here we go. It's going to be corruption. Qatar have bought the World Cup. This is bullshit. And then they put the graphic up there really quickly. And it was like this offside that really not many people with the naked eye could see. And the technology had seen. Everyone went, that was good, wasn't it? And that was quick. And that was it for me. I went, bring it in. Bring it in immediately. So why we had to put up, well, I'll tell you why. Incompetence, sponsorship contracts, because I think that was done by Adidas and the Premier League got a thing with Nike. Just, again, nonsense. They're still drawing out lines on the pitch with the camera angles that aren't completely straight, that don't look across, and they're drawing lines from... Have you seen it when they try and zoom in? They try and zoom in, and it's a blur, and they go, well, this is from his shoulder. And you go, well, I think it is. That pixels his shoulder, perhaps. And they draw that line down and go, oh, it's offside. And you go, but actually, that player's the furthest one back. Is it? Is it? Oh, damn. And then they do it again. Whereas this, and by the way, that whole time it takes like 10 minutes. Whereas this stuff, it's just like, it's off, boom, done. They'll show the graphic in like 30 seconds. They do that, but by that point, game's ongoing. And that's what it needs. And I think that's my pivot with VAR, is that there are some things that aren't open to interpretation, really. You know, is it over the line? Yes. Is it offside? Yes. I mean, I know that whole subjective offside thing, that for me is a bunch of bullshit. But you're either offside or you're not. The ball's either over the line or it's not. Those things that you can kind of get rid of, this sort of, well, we've got how we interpret it, just give that to the technology. And then again, for the majority of the other stuff, is it handball? Is it a foul? Isn't it a foul? Well, that debate's never going to be solved, is it? Because it's always about your interpretation of the law, your interpretation on how you view it. So we might as well just leave that with the officials on the pitch, because what we do with VAR and technology is we assume, I think wrongly, well, we'll give there's this bunch of people here, referees, that aren't very good at their job. Let's just give them more tools. That'll be better. And you go, well, but they're still rubbish at their job. So why are we expecting them to be any better with more technology? Technology they clearly can't use. And then we're shocked by their incompetence. Their incompetence on the pitch is just as bad. And then we blame the technology. We go, technology's fault. It's not technology. It's the people that use it. They don't know how. They don't. And the sort of cloak and dagger society element of referees, that's the other part of it. You know, wow. You remember when Mike Dean came out saying, well, it's a difficult game for him. I didn't want to put him in a bad position, or he'd get slammed if I overturned it, so I didn't do that. Oh, come on, man. This is a football match. It's not about your friends. So there's a long way to go, certainly. But with that automated stuff coming in, that's at least a positive. Ridwan says, no surprises. Who's the main man for Germany? Tony Kroos. What else are people saying here? Tifa says, what happened with KG chat? Watch KG's live stream. I'm just saying, it'll come. It'll come. It's fine. It's fine. Prod by Palmeiras says, people cry about women commentators, but Keown and Jermaine Genius chatting shit. Anything is a better alternative. To be honest, I mentioned this the other day, that I spoke about, maybe I didn't choose my words very well. I spoke about sort of American punditry, and I didn't. What I meant is there is a style of punditry that I think originates from sort of this sort of American style punditry, like you see it sometimes with NBA or NFL, or more so like American sports punditry shows, where there is a style of punditry now that's not for me. Maybe it's for other people. There's a style of punditry, I think, that is just, let's just be very loud and have a big personality and create conflict, as opposed to sort of in-depth analysis and in-depth tactics and, sort of pressure points of games and what have you. And I think that has kind of, sort of dominated or sort of seeped over into other sports now, which is very entertaining, I think, if done right, because you can't have a super, super tactical show all the time. Then you get kind of, it's very, very dry, isn't it? But I do think sometimes it's like, I do want to see, like, for instance, if you get to half-time in a game, for instance, in this tournament, I've really enjoyed the punditry of Cesc Fabregas and Thomas Frank. Really enjoyed that. Really in-depth, sort of analytical viewpoints, talking about tactics, talking about managing players, talking about, where to take certain shots and how to effectively get across certain messages and, press points, and I really enjoyed that. And I think there's a time and place probably for both, isn't there? There are certain shows, I think, where that kind of sort of style of sort of loud punditry, where it's not too much focused on sort of the tactical side of things, more just sort of the personality, and I think there's probably a place for that, but I think it has maybe shifted maybe a bit too much, where it's just like, let's be the loudest person in the room, perhaps, and that's where I'm a bit like, oh, that's not really what I look for in sort of my punditry. But there are sort of differences. For instance, Flex was sort of saying he really likes, the American style of punditry. And again, that's not to say that it's not successful or not good. I know that, what's it called? The TNT basketball coverage with like Shaq and all that kind of stuff is immensely popular for a reason. It's box office. It's great. It's unfortunate it's probably going to be going away, isn't it, for the NBA? Because it looks like Warner Brothers Discovery are going to lose the media rights to the NBA. It looks like it's going to be going to ESPN and NBC, I think, is where it's going to be going to. The only reason I know that is because it affects the wrestling space. But that show is immensely popular for the right reason, because it's about the chemistry, and also these are people that were very successful in that field, Shaquille O'Neal. But it's kind of like, again, I think there's a time and place for it all. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of my viewpoint on it. But that's why I do really like coverage of international tournaments, because you do see people that aren't usually pundits come in, and I do think some of them you get a bit of an upgrade. You go, oh, they're really, really good. I tell you, was also really good as a pundit, and you don't see him as, because I don't know what he does for work now, actually, what team he's at, but I used to have him all the time for like the Euros and the World Cup. Slaven Bilic, he was brilliant as a pundit, and he was a really good mixture. He had a really great personality, but his sort of passion for the game and his tactical nuance was great. He was a really good pundit. I wonder what he's doing at the moment. Slaven Bilic. Who's he the manager of? Where's he managing? So he was previously manager of Watford. That was his last job. But he's in the Saudi Pro League. There you go. Didn't even know that. Manages in the Saudi Pro League. But he was a fantastic pundit. Afro says, what are you talking about? Debate shows where they choose a topic and debate their views on it. Well, I think, again, I think that's the perfect sort of place for that style of punditry. That sort of louder point of just sort of, again, big personalities or a round table style thing. I think that's is great. But I do think nowadays, particularly for sort of football coverage or the Premier League, I think that they've seen how popular, for instance, CBS Sports coverage of the Champions League is fantastic, and a lot of the stuff they've done has gone viral for the right reasons. But I also think that I've seen a lot of outlets, I think, try and copy that, but it becomes sort of a bad imitation of it, because you can't fake sort of the charisma and what's the word I'm looking for? Way that people just sort of click together, I think. You can't really fake that. And sometimes it becomes a bad kind of chemistry. That's what I'm looking for. You can't kind of fake that. And sometimes I think other outlets have tried to do that, and it doesn't come across as well. Yes, chemistry. So yeah, I think again, it depends what you're kind of looking for, isn't it? It depends what kind of punditry you're looking for, kind of analysis you're looking for. Because I think there is a time and place. For me, like I said, at half-time, I'm looking for talk about tactics, talk about the game. I'm not looking for, sort of the whole be loud kind of stuff or talk about personality. I'm looking for that, like you said, in like a debate show or in a kind of like a round table thing. I think that's the time and place for it. But again, it's horses for courses. That was what we were saying the other day, wasn't it? Roberto says NBC does a great job in terms of Premier League coverage. To be honest, I haven't seen over here in the UK, but I've seen some clips and what have you. What else? Proper Palmera says ITV international coverage is always better than the BBC, in my opinion. Jadine says definitely not biased punditry, i.e. Jamie Carragher. That's also another point of it. And I feel like I remember in the past, and again, maybe maybe this is just rose-tinted glasses and it just never used to be like this, or maybe you used to never notice it as much. But I always look to my pundits or whatever to try and call it as down the middle as they possibly can, or be objective and provide accurate, again, analysis. But sometimes, when it's like an ex-Liverpool pro doing a Liverpool game and they're just incredibly being like, they're just seeing like fouls or what have you, and they're going, yeah, that's not a foul, this, that's that. And you go, well, why am I bothering watching here? Because I'm not seeing a different viewpoint. I'm just seeing you agree with everything just because you're a Liverpool fan. That doesn't feel particularly fair. Now, it's funny, isn't it? Because Gary Neville, I think he was quite weary of that, and it ended up him doing the compensating the opposite of when he goes actually really hard on Manchester United too. And you go, oh, come on, cut us a bit of slack here. But I would prefer that as opposed to like, the Graham Souness when he's talking about Liverpool, and it's just like, it's eye rolling. You go, well, here we go. Graham, say something positive about Manchester United, and he'd probably just vomit. He'd probably be like, no, I can't do that. no chance. Not a chance at all. So, yeah, I agree with that. That is kind of punditry that I don't like. And like, for instance, I think there was a lot to be said about after the FA Cup final with the BBC's treatment of Erik ten Hag. And it's not in the sense, like, people got kind of confused with this, the pushback of it, because they were, so Alan Shearer and Gary Lineker, basically, their point of view was, well, these were natural questions to be asked, so why could we not ask them? And many people pointed out, it's not necessarily the questions that you asked, it's about the timing of it, and it's about the context in which you asked about it. The guy's literally just won the FA Cup final, minutes beforehand. He's still on the pitch, he's still on the touchline, and 90% of the questions that were asked were critical of him, talking about his future, as opposed to focusing on what he had just done. It's his FA Cup winning post-match interview, and a lot of the questions weren't based around the match. And they concluded it with, we hope to see you next season. It was just bizarre, and they got called out on it, rightfully so, and they defended it by suddenly, well, we're just being sort of journalists. It's like, come on. And again, given Alan Shearer's biased against Manchester United, you knew it came from a place of not kind of journalistic integrity. It was just strange. And then you go, well, okay, if that's the way you want to operate, let's at least, again, keep the same energy, be fair, do it with other managers. And they won't do it. Look at the way they, say they interview Gareth Southgate, or if Pep Guardiola had won that, would they be asking, going, hey, but there's a big cloud over this trophy today, given the charges levied against the club? Of course they wouldn't. Of course they would not be doing that. And I think that's the point of contention too, of going, all right, I don't necessarily would rather you not do that, but if you're going to do that, let's keep the same energy. And they don't. It's sort of double standards, and it's contradiction is the frustration. And again, that goes back to sort of proper punditry, isn't it? Proper punditry, proper analysis. What are you there to do? Are you there to provide an analysis of the game, or are you there to sort of get your own biases in? And again, that kind of punditry is not for me either. Because that's why, again, I've enjoyed Thomas Frank and Cesc Fabregas in this tournament thus far, because thus far they haven't, I don't think, had too much of a bias. Now, if Thomas Frank did a Danish game, would he favour Denmark? Maybe, I don't know. But it's just nice to see someone objectively talk about the game, the tactics, and call things fairly down the middle. As we're about to have the second half kickoff. Maybe I'm off base with that view on punditry. Like I said, I know lots of people have different preferences, and that's totally fine. But let me know what you think. Because I know a lot of people that they'll just go, look, I just don't even watch the pre-match or the post-match stuff on TV. Can't really do it. Here's Musiala, already into the box. Tell you what, an early goal would really kill this game off, wouldn't it? Red Baron says, and then they have the cheek to say Erik ten Hag was disrespectful towards Southgate. That was hilarious, wasn't it? How dare he say something about Southgate that's negative? Haven't you not been doing that all season? Rudiger's going to take a shot. Oof. And the Orban just hung a leg out, and it goes back for a corner. And I think also, you know what it is with sort of maybe the ones that are maybe a bit more biased than others? I don't think I'd mind as much if they were quite open about it. You know what I mean? If they sort of, Tony Kroos ball in, keeper went for it, but was actually headed away in the end. And that's going to be a free kick to Hungary. I wouldn't mind if they sort of asked, let's say Graham Souness, what do you think about this? And if they went, look, obviously, I'm going to be biased here. I'm a Liverpool guy, so I'm always going to say no, but I can see the other side of it. Then I wouldn't mind that, but maybe then they wouldn't get on TV. And again, that's maybe a bit of a wider problem. But it's a free kick to Hungary inside their own box. Goalkeeper's going to take it. Headed away by Tar. Just hoofed up the pitch. That's a foul. Jadine says, hot take, but I think Germany would do better with Füllkrug in the 9 than Havertz. Well, of course, did score when he came on in the last game, didn't he? But you do tend to find with managers at the moment that play this kind of style that... pass. That was nearly... Szoboszlai. Kirkes, that's going to be a corner. You do tend to find sometimes with coaches now that dominate possession, like Kurt Nagelsmann, that they do like to have that false 9 to drop in deep and kind of rotate positions. Szoboszlai is going to stand over this corner. To be fair, his delivery today has been excellent. Ball in. Flicked on. Couple of corners and free kicks there have been very good. Hungary said they want that throw, but referee says no, which is a bit strange. Man United 1999 says Man United have had contact about Jonathan David, 25 million. I did just sort of see something about that kind of pop up. Let's have a look. Certainly what is encouraging again is that, there's Man United are still being very active in the transfer market. They're not using the fact that the Euros are ongoing as an excuse not to do anything, which again is pretty encouraging. Kirkes. Schäfer nearly in the box. Referee gives a free kick. Jonathan David. From Pete Hall is saying that Manchester United made contact with Jonathan David's representatives. He could be available for around £25 million. Well, we know he is going to most likely be leaving Lille this summer. He's in the same position as Lenny Yoro, which is his contract expires next year. He's got a year left. He's not going to renew, so he's going to be off. So that could be one. That could be possible. They did say with the Xerxes thing, didn't they, that he was one of several options that Ineos were looking at. And to be fair, they've largely lived up to their word, I suppose. In the sense with the centre-backs. Obviously, it looks like Branthwaite's been the most concrete one, but at the same time, looking at De Ligt, looking at Lenny Yoro, no longer looking at Todibo. Kai Havertz went for a back heel, and that's going to be a goal kick. But all of the rumours definitely suggest centre-back this summer, happening. Striker this summer, happening. Now, other positions we haven't heard maybe as much about. Midfielder, left-back. It was suggested that they were going to happen. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. But those two positions, centre-back and striker, they're very much on for Man United, aren't they? No doubt about that. Ball up the line. Rudiger having a bit of a wrestle there. Andrich. Going to be Mittelstadt. Manchkushner says lots of striker movement this summer. Well, there's a lot of early movement by United too. I mean, again, whether or not it leads to actually early signings, I would hope so. Musiala, just the way he glides with the ball. He is sensational. What a top player. Little 1-2. Florian Wirtz. I mean, he's probably been the player that's kind of impressed me the most. Obviously, Toni Kroos has been fantastic. When isn't he? But in terms of like a player that's catching the eye, Musiala's been fantastic. Here comes Hungary. I might have nearly gone off. Here's Varga. Soboslai. Schaefer. And Rudiger's managed to deal with that. Now the game's opened up a little bit more. Toni Kroos travelling with the ball. Kimmich. This game does have another goal in it though. I think it is there for Hungary, but you get the impression that Germany just going to get another one too. Or at least they'll get a chance. And again, that's why it'll be so frustrating with the goal they did concede in the first half, that it was really avoidable. Red Baron with the super chat says maybe Martial will be fit this season. Eyeballs emoji. Where has he been linked? I think hasn't been linked for a move back to France, I think. Was it Lyon I saw? I think he has been linked with a couple of clubs. I think they said he's on, or his agent said they're on holiday. He's on holiday or something. Kai Havertz. And it's cleared. But legitimately, and I don't mean this insincerely, I don't mean it facetiously or anything like that. I really hope with Martial that he finds a club and he is able to put those fitness issues behind him, that he is able to get a run of games together and what have you, because he is still, in terms of a football career, he's still really young. I mean, how was he? 27, I think. Maybe... was he a bit older than that? 28, excuse me. 28 years old. And for his body to be breaking down the way it is, or has been over the last 3 years, the fact that for like 3 seasons he hasn't completed 90 minutes. So you're saying, when was the last time you completed 90 minutes? Well, I was about 25 years old at the time. That is kind of mad. Pushed out by the goalkeeper, edge of the box, deflection. Oh, keeper makes a save. And in the end he picks it up. But I do hope that he gets it back. I do hope that he finds a way. Man United just can't be the club to sort of wait and see if he can, or hope that he can, particularly with the wages that he's on too. So, Gundogan, Wirtz, reverse ball, Havertz. I thought he might have been offside. That's going to be a foul. That's a Hungary free kick. But I do legitimately hope he does get some fitness back going and, start scoring some goals. Because he is a good talent. But Manchester United, unfortunately, just have to be ruthless in that regard. Of just going, look, you're not fit that often. You're on a lot of money. Thanks but no thanks kind of thing. We wish you all the best. It was the goalkeeper who made the save from the deflection. I tell you what, that's a good pass. Hungary going down their left-hand side. Rudiger puts out for a throw-in. Oh, that's poor. From a Schaefer. Puts out for a Germany throw-in. Reminder, after this, there is going to be Flex's chat with James from the Muppeteers. You're not going to have to go anywhere. You'll be redirected once this stream ends. It's going to be dropping, as they say, at 7 p.m. After that, I will be live for Scotland versus Switzerland. Oof, Kai Havertz nearly reversed past it to Gundogan. Goes back to Tar. Oof. Definitely been much more of a struggle than it was against Scotland. And people are now starting to look at... oof. Look at this. Slide tackle from Tar. I think if they just get a couple more set pieces, Hungary, maybe just look towards that. You can get a couple more set pieces, corners, maybe some free kicks. Now, who was saying in the chat about Fulkrug coming on? He is going to be coming on. He's going to be coming on for Florian Wirtz. So that means Havertz is probably going to be dropping back to where Wirtz was. Fulkrug through the middle. Jardine. There you go. Big up Jardine. Well, actually, no. Screw that. Havertz is off. So, Fulkrug is going to be through the middle, and Leroy Sané is going to be where Florian Wirtz was. To be fair, Sané, when he came on against Scotland, looked really dangerous, but his end product just wasn't really there, was it? Fulkrug scored a great goal. Szoboszlai, he went for a volley, which I think was probably a shot, but it ended up being a bit of a cross. It was half a chance for Hungary there. And now Rudiger's going to take the ball out of defence. Puts the ball out wide to Mittelstadt. Look at the positions Toni Kroos picks up, by the way. He's almost like a third centre-back at points. Not even just between the two. Sometimes he'll be over to sort of the left of Tar. But it is kind of sort of Zidane-ish energy, isn't it? All right, I'm going to retire completely from football after the European Championships, after a major international tournament. I'm still going to be one of the best players at the tournament, by the way, too. It's not a case of my powers waning. I'm still, unbelievable. Ball in! Oh, just headed wide. I mean, I don't think he does too much wrong. It's a ball in. He heads it back across goal. And it looked like maybe it was just going to nestle. They've taken it quickly. Look at that, Germany. They've taken it really quickly. It's a massive chance, though. Puts it across goal, heads it back where it comes from, and it's over the bar. And this is what I was kind of saying earlier on, that as great as Germany was against Scotland, in this game, I'd say Hungary have had chances. Neuer's had to make a couple of saves. That's a big chance. In reality, this one easily could be 1-1, if not even 2-1 to Hungary. So if you're concerned and worried about big bad Germany, you can get chances against them. Certainly Hungary playing much better than they did in the first match. You would think they probably do have a chance of being one of those third best placed teams. It probably would beat Scotland. Look at that touch. Look at that. Great cross. Top header. He just kind of gets it wrong. I mean, the technique isn't completely wrong. Again, heads it back across goal, but puts it over the bar. You're thinking, just get it on target. There he is. Mike Ehrmantraut's not happy. Big chance, though. Leroy Sané. Just tried to go through the players. He actually hit it against his hand. He's trying to claim for a handball. Referee waves his finger and goes, nope, not having it. Here's Leroy Sané. Tar. Musiala. Look how quick his feet is. Takes a shot. Oof. Tell you what, he can hit the ball though, can't he? My word, what a strike. It didn't even hit his hand. It hit his knee. Stop giving it that. Hit his knee. Hit his thigh. Well, this is a very, very, very interesting story. It's not related to Manchester United, but we got some big transfer news coming from David Ornstein. Some breaking news, if you will.
Breaking news.
It's an exclusive from David Ornstein of The Athletic, who is reporting that Aston Villa have reached an agreement with Chelsea to sign left-back Ian Maatsen. The fee for the 22-year-old Dutch youth international is just north of the now expired Borussia Dortmund-specific £35 million release clause, personal terms in place on a 6-year contract. So, he's not going to be going to Borussia Dortmund. He's going to be going, seemingly, to Aston Villa. Aston Villa have reached an agreement with Chelsea for left-back Ian Maatsen. Looks like it's going to be for £35 million. But a big story there from David Ornstein. I tell you what, Ornstein, he's on fire at the moment. For all the talk about Fabrizio Romano, transfer king, Ornstein has been on fire recently, hasn't he? You know, he's the first to break the story about Erik ten Hag. He's been breaking stories about Jared Brantwaite. He's been breaking stories about Xerxes. Like, he is on it. Meanwhile, Romano, I don't know if you saw, Romano had a stinker today. He tweeted out this morning that Leicester and Graham Potter were very close on a total agreement. And then just like, I think it was like 10, 15 minutes later, I think it was Sam Wallace from The Telegraph, said exclusive, Steve Cooper set to become the Leicester manager, and Romano deleted the tweet. Just delete that one. And it's like, wow, got that one wrong. Szoboszlai, oof. Kirkez, is that going to go out for a Germany goal kick? It does. But look, Villa making moves. I mean, obviously Champions League next season. It's going to be really interesting to see how well they do. Not only just in the Champions League, but also in the Premier League. Because as you saw last season with like Newcastle, great season. Get into the Champions League, kind of drop off a little bit. Be interesting to see how Villa cope. Because they did kind of drop off a little bit, didn't they? They kind of drop off a little bit towards the end of the last season. But he's done a brilliant job, Unai Emery. I think Villa's the perfect club for him, isn't it? He thrives with those like teams that, not the top teams, but sort of just underneath. You know, whether it is Sevilla, Villarreal, obviously not the best teams in Spain, but he manages success with them. Whether it's winning Europa Leagues with both of them, or in the case now, not so much Arsenal, but Aston Villa. And the key point there, he's got his sporting director that he had at Sevilla with him, which is really important too. Terrific work he's done. And it just goes to show, doesn't it, that just because a coach doesn't work out in one place doesn't make him a bad coach. There can be certain circumstances, certain times, just things don't work out. It happens. Here's Rudiger. Kimmich. Sane puts it across goal. Wasn't a good cross. Cruz got a good reverse pass. Mittelstadt. Ball into the box, headed away. Edge of the box. Rudiger. Sane. Reverse pass. Mittelstadt. Across goal! 2-0. Great goal. And just like that, Germany double their lead. Ilkay Gundogan. He's just so good at that, isn't he? He's so good at finding those little bits of gaps, pockets in the box, just not picked up. Great finish. Into the bottom corner, makes it 2-0. Now, he was someone in the first game that really did stand out to me. Ilkay Gundogan. Fantastic player. I mean, and that's through gritted teeth, obviously, former Manchester City captain. But he is top player. And for all of the effort and desire that Hungary have put in, and at points they have sort of challenged them, just like that, a bit of quality. Look at this. Nice little reverse pass by Sane. Cuts it back. And that is, again, the movement by Gundogan is so smart. He just drifts. Just drifts from his marker. The marker doesn't pick him up. And suddenly, he's with all the time in the world in the middle of the box. Keeps it composed too. Puts it in the bottom corner. 2-0, game over. That'll be Germany through to the knockout stages. It's a great team goal by Germany. Whether it's the reverse pass by Toni Kroos, Mittelstadt seeing that Gundogan's going to be arriving at that spot. Gundogan with the finish. Great goal. Now, if Hungary are going to get anything, they got to get a goal pretty quick. Speaking of which, here is Szoboszlai. And they're dispossessed. I mentioned that earlier on, that as much as Hungary were knocking on the door and you felt like, oh, maybe they could get a goal here, you always just got to be cautious of just the quality on the pitch, don't you, of Germany. And if you got someone like this, look at this, look at the space that Toni Kroos has. Now he can just travel with the ball. He'll pick out the right pass, he always does. Sane, pass into the box. Kimmich, oof, I tell you what, he fizzed it across goal. Take a look at this. Oof. I mean, I think it was Fulkrug misses it by millimetres perhaps there. And now that Hungary are going to probably open up even more, Germany could just pick them off. Look at that. There's so much space in the box, isn't he? You can't give a player like that so much space. It's sort of a combination of things, isn't it? It's the ability by Gundogan just to drift. Because he starts off with a white shirt next to him and he just kind of drifts, knows that he's got to arrive at the right time and he's there. But from a defensive point of view, if you're Hungary, you would say, come on, you can't give someone like Gundogan that kind of space in the box. Because he's just way too composed. So they're saying Germany would mathematically have qualified, but they'd have qualified, they'd have gone through. That's a foul by Szoboszlai. A foul by Szoboszlai on Musiala. This is going to be more changes for Germany too. Emre Can's coming on. Andrich is coming off. He's on a booking, not in this game, but in the tournament. Musiala also coming off. He's going to be replaced by Chris Furyk. Ridwan says, what is Keown on? He said, how's he got on the end of that? And proceeds to say, wasn't a bad ball, was it? I didn't get that either. When he was saying, Musiala's complaining, how am I not going to get on that? And then the replay clearly shows that Fulkrug is like that far away from getting on it. Maybe he was aiming for Musiala. Ball in. Keeper claims it. Now I just hope that maybe can Hungary just get something, just sort of spice up the remaining 20 minutes. Maybe they deserve a goal in this game because they have played pretty well at times. Now Manuel Neuer has been forced to make a couple of saves. We're just 8 subscribers away from 169,400, by the way. If you haven't already, subscribe. As we're close to 170,000, road to 200k. Which would mean another gathering, another party. Which would be Marcel, you know what I mean? Marcel be doing the shuttle runs, getting ready for Toca Social. I don't know if it would be a Toca Social again, by the way. But and to be fair, it worked out. He won. Oh, he won. There was a competition that was like United View people against each other, and Marcel won that one. And then we did pairs after that. Me and Marcel won the pairs competition. I was brutally ganged up on in the singles competition. There was a lot of tactical, you know, like when you play weakest link and they say tactical voting, get rid of some of the strongest participants earlier on. I was a victim of that. It was a disgrace. But Marcel did deserve to win. He was the best. Sane. Kimmich. Good save. Rebound. He didn't touch it, although he must have been interfering. And Tar's going to just sweep that one up. Look at that. Good pace. Good defending. There's Tony Cruz. Mittelstadt. Cruz. Tar. Rudiger. Sane. Shoots! Oh, good save by the goalkeeper again. Keeper gets down well, tips it wide. That goes through a player's legs. Keeper makes a good save. Galassi. Certainly looking like he wants to make a good argument to start. But what you would think in the third game, considering Germany all but through, they'll probably be quite a heavily rotated team. Oh, look at this. In comes Martin Adam, who won a lot of people's hearts. Why? Because he's a big bloke. Old school. Look at that proper old school striker. As Germany needs to have a corner here. Tony Cruz going to take it. Cruz, ball in. Oh, just punched away by Galacci. Get something to it. Sane. Gundogan. Mittelstadt. Is he going to take a shot maybe? A little bit of a nibble. Is the referee going to give a foul? Ah. That's the frustrating one, isn't it? When There's the foul, and the referee takes a little time. Look at that. And down with the foul. A little bit of a nudge. But for him, that's the equivalent of a body slam. It's going to be a free kick to Germany. What's that, about 30 yards out? I mean, central position, quite far out. Got a lot to do to beat the goalkeeper. But if you get it on target, in these areas, you said just get it on target, force the goalkeeper into making a save. What can you do? That camera angle behind the goal is horrible. Very crackly. Who's it going to be? Sade, good lord. I think that might just be about to hit me. Over here in England. Miles over the bar from Leroy Sané. Hungary playing up from the back. Is there still anything left? Can they get a goal? Can they put pressure on? Can they do something? There's been quite a bit of late drama in this tournament, hasn't there? So let's not rule out the possibility of there being late drama in this. We saw it earlier today with Albania. 2-2 against Croatia. But to go from 2-0 down against Germany in Germany after 77 minutes would be rather impressive, wouldn't it? That would probably be the story or the game of the tournament and one of the stories of the tournament thus far. But so far, you would say largely this tournament is kind of going to plan, isn't it, with a lot of the big teams, bar maybe a Belgium. And whilst you could say, well, that's boring, what it does mean is it makes for a heck of a knockout stage, doesn't it? Gundogan, just tried to play that sort of neat and tidy 1-2. Didn't work out. They wins it back. Sane. Good tackle by the Hungary defender. Emre Can, though, puts it back out to the German right-hand side. Kimmich. All the way back to Rudiger. Because that did happen in the Champions League, didn't it? You know, when there was the round of 16 and all of the big teams won and it was a bit dull. Everyone was like, oh, what's going on here? Why no big teams got knocked out? But then once you started to see the quarterfinals, you went, oh my God, look at all of these games. And they were fantastic games of football. So that could be similar in this tournament. Although we do like a scalp, don't we? Reverse pass, Gundogan. Tar. Oof. Fulkrug nearly. Just played a 1-2 on the edge of the box. And that's going to be a free kick to Hungary. K-Flow says, is Belgium a big team? Well, according to the FIFA rankings, they're third. Whether that, again, means anything. You know, it doesn't, by the way. But some people like to sort of reference those kind of things. Third ranked team in the world. We'll go see. I'm hoping for a good game between Scotland and Switzerland this evening. My instincts tell me Switzerland could just batter them, and we go, oh, Scotland are terrible. But it would be good to have see if Scotland can show a bit of fight. I can't say that they will. Emre Can, Furyk. What's he going to do into the box? Oh, went for glory. And it was a waste. And his manager's not very happy. I don't blame him. What is the FIFA rankings based on? I mentioned this the other day. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. I think it's based on, how far you go in tournaments. I think it's based on how far you go in tournaments, maybe friendlies, or nations leagues and stuff like that. I think maybe. But I don't know the actual. I mean, it's all about points and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? So, for instance, I would think after this tournament, after the Euros, and after the Copa America, I would think they probably get updated again, wouldn't they? With the outcome of it all, perhaps. But yeah, it's all a bit not very representative, because in this case, I think Germany are like 14th, maybe. FIFA rankings, and clearly they're not the 14th worst team in the world, are they? Or 14th best team, in the world. K-Flow says, yeah, friendlies count. You can boost points by playing shit teams. I think so, but I think, obviously, if you beat a team that's rated higher in the FIFA rankings, I think that might be weighted as more, perhaps. It's just, because like you said, I think there is a bit of Hungary corner. Oh! Just headed over the bar. Or was it Emre Can? It was nearly the beast. Adam, nearly. I think... Because if you can be quite strategic with the friendlies that you select, can't you? But we're into nearly 7 minutes left. Any late drama? Maybe if we manifest. Free kick was taken too quickly, so the referee says it's got to be retaken because there's going to be a substitution. Deniz Undav is going to be coming on for İlkay Gundogan, the Germany captain. I mean, it is really through gritted teeth because he's obviously used to play for Man City, but he is top player, isn't he? He is fantastic. Real good player. İlkay Gundogan. Taking his time to come off. Deniz Undav. He's actually on loan from Brighton. Did you know that? I didn't. Plays for Stuttgart too. Of course, Stuttgart had a fantastic season last year, didn't they? Second in the Bundesliga, qualifying for the Champions League. I think, Guirassy will be a player that I would be looking at in the summer, but so far no real concrete links to him. Could be time. Oh, overlap. Mittelstadt ball in the box. Cleared by the Hungary defender. Game feels like it's maybe petering out a little bit, doesn't it? Germany just got control. Maybe Hungary just aware of that. Once again, how did he keep that on? I was going to say, I thought it came off. That's a throw into Germany. 5 minutes remain plus stoppage time. Don't think there'll be a huge amount. And it looks like Germany are going to be off to a perfect start. What's the German for perfect start? Google Translate. Well, English. Perfect start. And when I want to find German. Edge of the box. Furich. Going to Kimmich. Oh, tried the pass. It was just a bit too heavy. Sane. Header. Wide. Perfecta Angfang. Perfect start, apparently. I don't know if there's any German speakers in the chat. They can let me know if that's correct. That's a substitute now for Hungary. This was the big chance, yeah. It was the header. I had no idea he was there. Heads it over the bar. Varga. That's going to be a foul. And a free kick to Hungary. Der perfekte start in this case. Oh, maybe easier than I thought. All the way back to the Hungary goalkeeper. And Fang is too formal. That is the difficult thing, isn't it, with language? It's about formal and not formal, and also which words are masculine words, which ones are feminine words. I always struggle with that, particularly in French. Sane travels with the ball into the box, deflected. Oh, corner. SLD says, Owen, KG and the Reckless Delegates accepted your apology earlier today. We forgive you. I didn't know I apologise. I was thinking, it was weird because he called me and went, was it something like, do you feel you're doing your job properly? Because you always agree with Flex. And then I mentioned that we don't agree on everything, which we really don't. And for instance, I used the example of the Kante thing yesterday, and then he moved on from that very quickly because I don't think he was happy with the point that he made. and then brought up the thing that I said about him on the Transfer View show, which do you know what it was? I think KG was trying to make right with his own Reckless Delegates, because the reality was, and this is absolutely true, is that he'll go, so-and-so's retiring, Johnny Evans retiring, or we're going after this player. And you'll go, where did you hear that? And they'll go like, Uncle told me. Or he'll go, the Reckless Delegates, they told me. And my point was, I said, well, they can tell you. Oh, has he made a mistake there off the line? Oh, that's a couple of times. Ball back into the box, they've gone down. Referee says no. Well, that was a chance. Oh, Szoboszlai, what a terrible mistake. And here come Germany on the counter-attack. And Sane makes a mess of it. But yeah, so I mentioned that, actually, maybe don't throw your own people under the bus, KG, your Reckless Delegates. And then he turned that into, well, you said Erik ten Hag wasn't going to stay or something. You said that the FA Cup final wouldn't change it, and you changed your mind. Which I don't deny. I've never denied that. I've been very open about that, actually. It's not a secret. And then he said, he brought up the thing about you're not talking about the players enough, blah, blah, blah. You're only talking about the manager. And let's just say, when doing my research on him, I found some very interesting things with regard to that point of view, which I'll save until Friday's episode of the Trinity. All I will say is practice what you preach, Mr. the Comedian. That is all I will say. Here's Emre Can. Kimmich. Oof. Pass. Nearly went all the way to Fulkrug. But I think Hungary have still done okay. A couple of minutes left in this one. They've not done too badly. King of the Indie says, don't apologise to those guys. We are crazy. Well, I don't. Again, I'm just pushing back. I don't actually think I apologised. I admitted that I did change my mind, which openly admitted, and said that I got my prediction wrong because I did. And I actually on the stream that with Ten Hag staying, I think someone put in a chat. It might have been a super chat saying. Big up the Ten Hag Defence League defenders, KG and Owen. And I said, well, that wasn't me. I can't act. The worst thing for someone to do in that regard is to pretend that they didn't say things or whatever. You know, I was Ten Hag. It wasn't Ten Hag out. It's Ten Hag indifferent. But I said I didn't think he was going to make it, and he did. And after that FA Cup final, I really did feel like Ineos just couldn't sack him. I felt like this decision's too unpopular. He's bought himself more time. And I'm glad they came to the decision that they did. And hopefully, I speak for myself here, hopefully I'll learn from that in the future. Or at least I'll try to. But the weird thing I don't understand, and I did mention this too, that the idea of you changed your mind, there's nothing wrong with that. I remember doing an episode of the Trinity talking about how I need more data. I'm looking for more data. And at the time, that's called being on the fence. So if you say something and stick to it, you're deluded. If you say I need more information, you're on the fence. And if you change your mind, you're a flip-flopper. So you can't win either way, can you? But that's just football fandom, isn't it, unfortunately? I think a better trait is the ability to say that you were wrong or you got things wrong, change your mind and not be stuck in your opinion. I think that's fair. And that's full time. 2-0 to Germany. They get the victory. Not completely mathematically through, I think, but near enough, they were saying. Germany will be in the knockout stages. And they get the job done. I don't think Hungary, they didn't. They did play very well. Of course, they're on 0 points, but they'll need to win to have a chance of being one of the best placed third teams, which I think they will. I think they'll beat Scotland. I think they're better than them. Szoboszlai talking to the official maybe about that first goal, a bit controversial. First goal, whether it was a foul or not. That'll be one that's up for debate. But anyway, guys, appreciate you joining me as always. I will be live later on for the match between Scotland and Switzerland. That's going to be in just under an hour's time. But before then, be sure to check out Flex's chat with the Muppeteers. You don't actually have to go anywhere. You're going to be redirected straight to there too. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Really interesting stuff. You guys have been asking for it, so we're delivering. It's going to be a lot more collaborations actually on the horizon. So watch this space with that one too. Click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll speak to you again in a bit. I'm out of here. Peace.